It all started like something out of a Hollywood fairy tale. Meghan Markle walked onto the Drew Barrymore Show with that signature glow, confident, polished, and ready to reintroduce herself to the world. She wasn't just promoting her brand, she was stepping into a carefully planned moment, a vibe reset. Everything about her appearance seemed curated, soft smiles, calming tones, and just enough charm to make people forget the chaos that had followed her in recent years. Drew, being Drew, welcomed her like an old friend. With open arms, a warm grin, and that infectious energy that's made her America's sweetheart for decades. There was a real moment just for a second, where it felt like something new was being born. Two women from completely different worlds meeting in the middle. One had survived the messy side of child stardom and came out the other side hugging everyone in the room. The other was Meghan, mid-rebrand, floating in with a basket full of jam jars, pastel dreams, and a not-so-subtle touch of royalty. The set sparkled with possibility. Drew gushed, the audience cheered, and even viewers at home started to believe maybe Meghan was finally finding her footing again. But as the cameras kept rolling and the polished surface began to wear thin, people started to notice something didn't quite fit. What the audience didn't see that day was what really set things in motion. The smiles, the laughter, the on-screen charm, it was all there. But backstage, that's where things started falling apart. Word began to leak from people who rarely speak but always know everything. The lighting crew, the camera operators, the makeup artists. The whispers started quietly, with that familiar phrase, allegedly. But anyone who's worked in the industry knows, if the crew's talking, there's fire behind the smoke. According to insiders, Meghan didn't walk onto set like a guest. She arrived like royalty. From the moment she stepped into the studio, she reportedly made it clear she expected to be treated as something more than a typical interviewee. The introduction had to be just right. Not simply Meghan Markle, but something with weight. Duchess of Sussex, or formerly royal, turned lifestyle mogul. It wasn't just a preference, it came across like a demand. And that didn't sit well. Not with Drew, not with the crew, and certainly not with a show built on warmth and equality. Behind the scenes, Meghan's energy didn't match the set. She was cold, distant, dismissive. Some said she barely acknowledged crew members. Others claimed she gave off the kind of attitude that makes everyone feel like they're walking on eggshells. It wasn't a meltdown, it wasn't screaming or throwing phones, but it was worse in some ways. Subtle superiority. A look here, a tone there. That quiet kind of disrespect that says, I don't need to say I'm above you, I just am. And here's the thing, this is not Buckingham Palace. This is Hollywood. Titles don't carry the same weight here. The industry runs on collaboration, not curtsies. And the moment you treat someone like they're beneath you, whether it's a camera op or a production assistant, you're done. People may not say anything in the moment, but they remember. And those behind-the-scenes whispers, they travel through Hollywood like wildfire. Drew Barrymore isn't just a host. She's a survivor of Hollywood's messiest parts: child stardom, addiction, the tabloids. And through all of it, she built a reputation for one thing: authenticity. Her show isn't about red carpets or scripted perfection. It's about vulnerability, real emotions, and that cozy, you're safe here energy. So when Meghan walked in, expecting royal fanfare, the clash was immediate. It didn't explode on camera, but the vibe was off, and Drew felt it. To her credit, Drew didn't make a scene. No confrontations, no on-air awkwardness. But something changed. Viewers watching closely noticed that as the interview went on, Drew's signature warmth began to cool. The sparkle in her eye dulled just a bit. The way she leaned in just a little less than usual. She still smiled, still laughed, but it felt more like a performance than a connection. And when the cameras stopped rolling, whatever spark had existed between the two vanished completely. Here's where it got interesting. Drew didn't say a word afterward. No Instagram photos, no clips, not even a casual compliment tossed into another episode. Just silence. And in Hollywood, silence speaks volumes. When someone as universally liked as Drew Barrymore pulls away from you quietly, that isn't just a personal boundary. That's a professional signal. People notice. Executives notice. Other hosts, producers, publicists, they all take note when someone as warm as Drew hits the brakes without saying why. And honestly, Drew didn't need to say anything. Her distance was the message. No drama, no public dragging, just quiet, space, deliberate, noticeable space. And when the woman who built a career on forgiveness and friendliness steps back, everyone starts asking, what really happened? At first, viewers just thought the interview was a little awkward. Maybe Drew was off. Maybe Meghan was nervous. A few even joked that Drew seemed like she was trying too hard to be Meghan's new best friend. But then, the leaks started. Quiet rumors turned into online threads. Crew members talked, insiders hinted, and suddenly, the internet had a new mystery to solve, and it was all centered around Meghan. People rewatched the segment, this time paying closer attention. The smiles now seemed forced. The pauses too long. The chemistry non-existent. And once those behind-the-scenes reports started circling about Meghan's alleged diva demands, her chilly energy, the royal title drama, everything clicked into place for viewers. They hadn't imagined the tension. It was real. And social media did what it always does. It exploded. Comment sections filled up overnight. TikToks broke down the interview frame by frame. Tweets turned Drew's subtle discomfort into viral moments. One post read, "If Drew Barrymore of all people pulls back, that says everything." Another, "She didn't vibe with Drew. She acted like she was better than the entire room." Memes followed, of course. Meghan photoshopped in royal garb next to Drew's laid-back set. Hashtags like hashtag Duchess of Drama started trending. And just like that, Meghan's attempt at a clean public reset became the internet's favorite mess. The damage was denied. It wasn't just public perception that took a hit. What Meghan needed most was a win. After the Netflix drama, the Spotify breakup, and constant stories about staff walking out the door, she needed a simple, successful interview to stabilize her image. Instead, she walked straight into a PR buzz, and Drew, she didn't even have to lift a finger. The internet did all the talking. One awkward interview. That can be forgotten. One behind-the-scenes rumor, Hollywood shrugs. But when it starts happening over and over, when stories from different sets, different teams, and different deals all sound eerily similar, that's when people stop giving the benefit of the doubt. That's when a bad day becomes a bad reputation. And that's exactly what started happening with Meghan. The fallout from the Drew Barrymore Show didn't live in a vacuum. It sparked something. Suddenly, people were connecting dots. First, it was the Spotify deal touted as groundbreaking, then unceremoniously dropped, then the Netflix tension. Projects delayed, reworked, or quietly shut. Add in the endless stories of staff turnover. This wasn't a one-off personality clash. This was a pattern. Studio execs started to notice, not with loud public statements, but in the ways that matter. Quiet conversations behind closed doors, meetings canceled, deals that once seemed promising left to collect dust. Nobody in Hollywood wants to gamble on a brand that feels unstable or, worse, unpredictable. And Meghan, once seen as a breath of fresh air in the royal world, was now being viewed as a high-risk figure in the entertainment one. The real problem? It was no longer just about what Meghan was doing, it was how it all felt. People weren't talking about her content anymore. They were talking about her attitude, her image, her energy. And in this industry, if the story around you becomes louder than your actual work, you're in trouble, because perception is currency in Hollywood. And Meghan's balance was starting to run low. After everything, the failed deals, the social media heat, the Drew Barrymore debacle, Meghan needed a fresh start, a new chapter. And that's exactly what she tried to launch with her lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard. It had all the makings of a sleek Hollywood rebrand. Think high-end aesthetics, soft-focus promo videos, artisanal jars of jam, and a name that screamed quiet luxury. It was supposed to be her comeback moment, a chance to finally control the narrative and show the world who she really was. But instead of admiration, it sparked ire. Critics didn't hold back. They called it tone-deaf, overpriced, and painfully out of touch. $22 for a single bottle of wine with a 3-bottle minimum, from someone who, as the internet put it, can't keep a podcast deal or a consistent team. It didn't take long for the mockery to begin. Memes flooded timelines, screenshots of empty order forms went viral. People joked that Meghan was selling elitism wrapped in pastel ribbon. Then came the celebrity jabs. Chef Jameson Saints, a fan favorite on social media, called it the Great Wine Robbery. That quote alone sparked thousands of reposts. One TikTok even compared the brand launch to a wedding registry curated by someone who's never stepped foot in a grocery store. The message was clear. Meghan's brand didn't feel real, it felt like a performance. And that's where it all unraveled again. People weren't just criticizing the products, they were criticizing the person behind them. Saying she was more focused on creating an image than building something authentic. That she wanted the glory of Martha Stewart and the aesthetic of Gwyneth Paltrow without putting in the years of trust and transparency. That made those women icons in the lifestyle space. Instead of softening her image, American Riviera Orchard hardened it. It reinforced the idea that Meghan still didn't get it, that she was chasing status, not connection, glamour, not substance, and in a world where audiences crave realness more than ever, that's a dangerous game to play. Hollywood doesn't always speak out loud, but it always takes notes. And after everything that had gone down, the industry started making quiet moves. Not dramatic ones, not public statements or headlines, just distance. Calls went unanswered. Emails got shorter. Projects that once felt like a sure thing were suddenly on hold. Because, here's the truth, people in Hollywood talk, not in interviews, but over lunch, on set, in boardrooms. And when the same words kept popping up, difficult, distant, entitled, those weren't just rumors anymore. They became red flags. And for producers, agents, and brands, red flags equal risk, and risk equals silence. Drew Barrymore stepping back may have looked subtle to the public, but to insiders, it was deafening. Drew is the industry's sweetheart, known for kindness, professionalism, and giving second chances. If she's not reposting your interview or saying your name again, that means something. People began asking, if Drew felt that energy, what will the next host feel? What happens on set when no one's watching? Suddenly, Meghan's presence wasn't a draw. It was a calculation. Can we trust her to show up and work with the team? Will the press be about the project tour, the drama? Will she lift the room or drain it? Studios started to back away, not because of one bad moment, but because of a pattern that was becoming too risky to ignore. And it wasn't just shows or event organizers, brand reps, even fellow celebrities began pulling back. Meghan was no longer the it girl, stepping into her power. She was becoming the cautionary tale whispered about at rap parties, the kind of name you mention with a long pause after, followed by, not sure that's the right vibe for us. Because in Hollywood, perception matters almost as much as performance. And once your name becomes shorthand for tension, that's a stain you can't peel away. Meghan Markle came to Hollywood expecting respect. After all, she had the title, the spotlight, the global attention. But what she may not have realized is that in this town, none of that guarantees success. Here, your title doesn't impress people, your attitude does. How you treat others, how you carry yourself when no one's watching. That's what opens doors, or quietly closes them. Hollywood doesn't ask for perfection. It forgives scandals, comebacks, even melt. But what it rarely forgives is someone who seems out of touch. Someone who talks about empathy but doesn't show it. Someone who preaches authenticity but performs every moment like a press release. And that's where things went wrong. Meghan didn't just walk into Drew Barrymore's studio, she walked into a culture that values warmth over status, kindness over image, collaboration over control. And when she failed to match that energy, it wasn't just Drew who noticed. It was everyone, from the makeup chair to the boardroom. In the end, this wasn't about one bad interview or a few harsh tweets. It was about a deeper disconnect. Meghan brought the Duchess energy to a city that rewards humility. She treated a talk show like a throne room. And in doing so, she missed the one lesson every star eventually learned: charm isn't what you wear. It's what people feel when you walk in the room. And if people stop feeling it, the room gets quiet. In a town built on stories, Meghan Markle's became one no one expected, a modern Duchess, stepping into Hollywood, not as an outsider but as someone who should have owned the room. And for a while, it looked like she might. The interviews, the deals, the spotlight, it was all right there. But somewhere along the way, she forgot one thing. In Hollywood, it's not just about how you show up, it's how you treat people once you're in. What happened on Drew Barrymore's set wasn't just a bad day, it was a mirror. It reflected every quiet concern people had been whispering for years, that maybe the charm was that maybe the brand was shinier than the person behind it. And when someone is universally kind and open as Drew takes a step back, it sends a message that no press release can fix. And that's the real danger. Because when the people who once gave you the benefit of the doubt stop speaking up for you, in the industry that once rolled out the red carpet starts pulling it back in, there's no headline, no PR firm, no rebrand big enough to fix that. Now, Meghan isn't just battling rumors. She's battling silence, the kind that echoes in green rooms, spreads in casting calls, and shows up when the phone stops ringing. That silence is Hollywood's final warning. Not loud, not dramatic, just real, just final. And when even Drew Barrymore walks away from you not in anger, not in scandal, Just with quiet distance, you can be sure of one thing. It's not just one person leaving the room, it's the whole room. Closing the door